Hey, welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and we've got a great show lined up today. A beautiful day here in Toronto, and we got Marcel Wolfe back here on the show from Frequency Matters. And Marcel, you were just telling me that your focus really now with the Frequency Matters is all on light and what light can do for us, right?
Right. So there is a light way to live and a wrong way. So
I always get those letters mixed up.
Exactly.
I get those matters mixed up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we're looking at everything not only from a frequency aspect in terms of holistic health, but actually specifically more light. And why is because at our microscopic level, we are literally light beings.
Yeah.
So we're not chemistry, and Einstein tried to tell us frequency trumps chemistry and frequency is everything. So maybe we should focus on frequency and now specifically biophotonic energy.
Right.
And so we've had, great people, including Dr. Albert Fritz Popp and Martha Fenyo and all kinds of people, including Rysberg Fenson, who won the Nobel Prize, I think it was 1903 or 1906, that started us on this light journey. There's a little book called the Bible that says, come into the light, be part of the light, God is light. So it's sort of been in front of our faces the whole time. Mm-hmm. And we're now just realizing, what and why this focus needs to be on light. So at our microscopic essence, if you look at the DNA, which is the twisted ladder, the perfect antenna for picking up frequency, if we actually cut one of those cables, like a fiber optic cable, it reveals 4 billion epigenetic light switches. And it's the most telling single photograph or image that I've ever seen. And it's the most sacred of sacred geometry. Mm-hmm. In the middle of this actual image, you see an image of a skull, which is interesting,
really?
To say the least. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I, recommend that, we tell children, by the way, you're not just a Ferrari, you are a Tesla. Okay, Tesla understood the whole thing about electromagnetic energy. Light is electromagnetic, by the way. But it also carries not just energy, but specific information. Mm-hmm. And so, we've talked about PEMF in past shows, pulsating electromagnetic energy field technologies. Well, the best of that actually increases microcirculation by 30%, measurably. So I wasn't surprised to hear that when it came back that this particular type of light increased microcirculation by 47%. Now we have a lens that actually has taken us and will take us to who knows what galaxy in terms of understanding of light. We have something called Tesla toroidal, C60, Fibonacci, the golden ratio. Actually it's referred to in nature as the highest organizing waveform known to nature. It's known as perfection. So we can all use a little bit of that right now. So in the pursuit of looking at light, we've been concerned for decades, about having the healthiest environmental light. Mm-hmm. And I have a saying, and that is that the best the man can do is to comprehend, copy, and cooperate with nature. Mm-hmm. Anything else is exercise in futility. Mm-hmm. And so all of the great folks from the past have been pointing us in this direction. Albert Einstein, Tesla, Victor Schomburg, who studied nature to the nth degree, right? And so this is something that we just started to become aware of. In 1960, a Japanese scientist actually figured out that there were trace amounts of this titanium dioxide in every shovel full of dirt on the planet. So up until I met Roger, Mr. Roger Young here, the CEO of Pure Light, I didn't really understand the full extent of this titanium dioxide and how it actually works in our environment. So we've heard that the trees are the lungs of the earth.
Yeah.
We've heard that algae produces the oxygen which helped to create the atmosphere and all that good stuff. But up until we had this meeting, I didn't understand the full extent of titanium dioxide. It's actually, if not one of, then maybe the primary factor of actually keeping this planet healthy and safe for us. So basically, he'll tell you the story. Russia, Mir, space station first. Problem, you're in a tin can. You can't actually, up in the atmosphere, you can't actually open a window, let some fresh air in. And so you can imagine, warm bodies, moisture, you're going to end up with bacteria, mold, and situations that actually stopped the project early, and they actually allowed the space station to re-enter the Earth's surface, burn up, and crash because they couldn't use it. It wasn't fit for an environment for human beings. NASA said, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We got to find some way of keeping this fit and healthy 24/7 and over a long period of time, or the project just not going to work. So they came up with the idea, and he'll get into it more detail. Glue with the titanium dioxide, coating the entire interior, and with that, I'm going to allow Roger now to explain how that all works.
And Roger's here all the way from Idaho.
All the way from Idaho.
Right?
Yes.
He's going to be presenting in Toronto this week and next, so great to meet you, Roger.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be here.
So where do we begin with what you've done?
Well, let me go back to the beginning a little bit. Marcel's alluded to a little bit of the story, is that titanium dioxide has been around a long, long time, 100 years, actually millions of years. And as he said, it's in every shovelful of dirt, there's a small trace amount of titanium dioxide. And there are ores that it's pure titanium dioxide, and it's the white. It's the white in the white paint. It's the white in the white makeup that you use. It's it's non-toxic. You can eat it. It doesn't do anything. It's even used as fillers in vitamin pills, for example. Okay, well, so it's been used for all sorts of things. It wasn't until, as Marcel mentioned, that in 1960s, some Japanese researcher discovered that when the light from the sun shone on the titanium dioxide powder, it actually did some kind of action, and they've since called that, named that, a photocatalytic action.
Okay.
All right. So just like solar panels, when light shines on a solar panel, it produces excited electrons, and if you put a wire to the solar panel, it draws off those electrons. Well, they thought they'd found the newest thing, because titanium dioxide does the same thing, only a little bit more than that, better than that. But the problem was they could never figure out a way to utilize that dust, basically dirt, and do anything with it. And so for 30 years they studied it, not figuring out a way to attach it to any surface to utilize it. What they found was that when the light shone on the titanium dioxide, it produced excited electrons, and depending on which way that electron was spinning, when it encountered a water molecule, which happens almost instantaneously, it turned into two kinds of superoxygen molecules, one called a hydroxyl ion and one called a superoxide or superion. Okay, now what's interesting, as they discovered over the next few years, is that the superoxide is the same superoxygen molecule that our blood uses, our white blood cells create to take care of bacteria, viruses, mold, and fungus inside our bodies. All right, it's the natural part of our natural defense mechanism in our bodies. And one of the neat things about it is it's selective. It only goes after the bad stuff, and actually increases and works well with the good stuff. Okay. And what it does is, there's a chemical attraction and all this kind of stuff. We won't go into all the details. I'll keep you here for another half hour.
But I can interject. This is a telltale sign. It actually is part of our immune system. So it's not something that is not, friendly to the human body and its production.
Yeah.
Right. And there's, just some people talk about cancer being a fungus, for example. So this obviously would be...
This is part of our defense mechanism against cancer and against other things. The other, that's the superoxide ion, and the other one is called a hydroxyl ion, and it has an affinity towards attaching itself towards what we call volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. All right? And so when it does, it changes those things. When it attaches to it, it changes those things molecular. For example, carbon monoxide, deadly, deadly gas. Yet it's in the smog around this, etc. When this extra superoxygen molecule attaches itself to carbon monoxide, guess what it changes to? Carbon dioxide, into a harmless gas, okay, which is then utilized by trees to create more oxygen. And so they found that this is actually the process, or one of the main components, if not the main component, of cleaning the atmosphere. It's why we're not swimming in toxic fumes. This detoxifies pesticides, for example. This detoxifies nitrous oxide, formaldehyde, chemicals all that we're all surrounded by. And
ingesting too.
And ingesting
right.
as well. So they actually have termed it. This is the cleansing agent of the troposphere or the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And so this does more, they found, than the plants do. The plants do a lot.
And this is the sun reacting with the titanium dioxide.
This is the sun reacting, ultraviolet light and the sun reacting with the titanium dioxide. Well, for 30 or 40 years, no one could figure out a way to actually utilize this great discovery. Mm-hmm. They studied it, but they couldn't figure out how to way to use it. Then we entered the Russians. The Russians had their space station, and as Marcel alluded to, it became so toxic with mold and fungus, you couldn't open the window and let the fresh air in. Mm-hmm. And so it became so toxic that they couldn't live in there. Mm-hmm. To breathe the air was to die, literally. And so they, let it go, burn up in the atmosphere, and fall in the ocean. Well, then they came up with the idea of the International Space Station and said, well, how are we going to keep this clean so we don't want it to happen again in a couple of years to the Russians did? So NASA was assigned the task to figure out a way to keep it, fresh and clean and mold-free and bacteria-free. Well, spend $1 billion or $2 billion of American taxpayer monies, great for them. Probably international monies, and they figured out the best way to use was the same way that nature already does it, which was to use titanium dioxide. But now how to use it. So they spent another couple of $1 billion or whatever to figure out an adhesive so they could attach the titanium dioxide dust powder to a surface, and that would allow it still to do its photocatalytic action. And so in the space station, International Space Station, right today, they have a titanium dioxide filter. And so they have plates in there, and the light, they have ultraviolet light shining on these plates, and they bring the air past, and it cleans the air of mold and bacteria and viruses, freshens the air, cleans the smell, and so it's actually, a pretty nice place to stay. I was talking to one of the astronauts. In fact, he holds the record for the second longest time in space, so almost over a year. He said, "Oh yeah, we lived on that was our life up there." Well, the problem with the NASA version is that one, it only lasted a year, and before the glue literally dissolved because it was an organic-based glue or adhesive, and then they just fly up more filters, and it used ultraviolet light. And so ultraviolet light kills everything. I mean, if it doesn't kill you, it'll change your DNA or plants. It kills plants, animals, whatever. Our guys worked for about 10 years on starting from scratch and saying, they have something here, but we can do better. And they came up with a different type of adhesive. So our adhesive works up to 10 to 20 years on a surface. That's great. We also figured out a way that uses regular light instead of needing ultraviolet light. Okay. So now we have a device, a system that we can put on a surface where the light shines on the surface, and it does its photocatalytic action, producing these superoxygen molecules. That's when I became involved with the company, and I said, why don't we put it, instead of having the light shine, or indoor light shine on the surface, why not put it actually on the light itself? And so I figured out a way to do that. That was my part of my contribution to the company. And so we have that. And so we started manufacturing. So we've been testing it for 5 years, and field testing and having all sorts of fun times with it, stuff along this line. So we now have a light that's coated with our titanium dioxide formula that when you plug this in, it now is producing these superoxygen molecules.
Just by shining.
Just by turning it on, flicking on the light. It's the exact same technology outside, but we can use it inside the house.
And it's an LED.
It is an LED bulb.
So that's the latest kind
of light? It just came from Safe Living Technologies, which is actually in Morristown, close to Guelph.
Yeah.
And,
one of the leading centers for this studies.
Rob Metzinger and Sharon and Brian, the SLT group, Rob is actually one of the leading instructors for the building biology course, which is taught globally. So, they're concerned about, like, again, we've been on the pursuit of trying to get a healthy lamp, for literally decades, right? And we were misguided there, with the CFL lamp. I think probably David Suzuki's worst mistake, offering us a lamp loaded with mercury, with negative flicker, with negative color,
Well, they didn't understand.
Tesla.
For him, defend him, they didn't understand it at that time.
Yeah,
well,
but
they were
even
trying
Tesla,
to,
who actually created it, said it was never meant for human environments.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
It was only a
That's
cheap way
true.
of lighting warehousing during wartime.
That was the fluorescent, any kind of fluorescent
And
bulb.
I'm sorry to say, but the science did exist. So those people that actually work and live under fluorescent lighting have a higher rate of skin cancer than those people that actually sunbathe.
Wow.
So that frequency actually leads to, depression and all the rest of it. The facts are out there.
I never liked those things. We had them in school, and on bright days, the teacher would turn off the lights, and I prefer that. And even now,
What's the movie that Joe versus the volcano, where it drives him crazy? He can't stand the lights because it's those fluorescent lights again.
You just feel it immediately. You turn those lights off, you just feel better.
I remember it wasn't that long ago, David was on every TV ad and every billboard telling us, you can't have these incandescent. They're inefficient, right? Yeah. And they're costing us a lot of money and electricity. And actually, the average household saves $20 and expose themselves to the world's most known toxic element.
No, I know.
Right? And then on top of that, it's the flicker, it's the EMF.
Yeah.
It's like the worst lamp possible.
Well, what's amazing to me is how quickly we leapfrogged over those fluorescents into these LEDs.
Actually, we knew about LED even before the CFL came out, the compact fluorescent.
Yeah.
Because cities were using them,
Yeah.
right? City streets, automotive industry have been using LEDs. We knew that it's almost like as if it was another paycheck for the lighting manufacturers. Let's come out with these and actually get behind governments to say it's efficient, and let's force it into law that the only lamp you can have is the CFL. And that we'll never be able to use these incandescent again because they're so horribly inefficient. And so now, we've come up with a better answer.
Well, this is even better than a regular LED because it's got all these health benefits, right?
Well, the other thing is that we can put our titanium dioxide coating on any type of LED light we want. We can actually put it on fluorescent lights if we wanted to. And so our search has been, and we continue to work on that, is to find the best LED light we possibly can.
Okay.
And so we thought we had found them, and so we went over it today. We're just testing it up at the light
Safe
Living Technologies, and he said this is the safest light, LED light, with EMF frequencies and RF frequencies and the whole gamut. He went through a whole bunch of tests there that he's ever found. And so he said, he says, in fact, some of its characteristics are very, very close to incandescent lights. He said, this is great. He said, and I said, well, we're not satisfied yet. We're still looking for it. But we want to make the healthiest light bulb, not only with our coating, but also with everything else that's involved in lighting. But so that's one of the reasons why I'm up here in Toronto, this wonderful place. But the neat thing about this coating is that you turn this light on. We have studies that show not only is it, kill the harmful bacteria and deodorizes and cleans the atmosphere. We think it's the best way to describe it is it's really not a light bulb. It's actually a miniaturized air purification system right here.
Wow.
Just turn the light on and you're purifying the air. It covers about a 10-foot area. Uses 8.5 watts.
Yeah.
Okay, covers a 10-foot square area, and it cleans the air. It freshens the air. It smells brighter and cleaner. And we've been testing it. We have people saying, all the way from, well, I had a skunk go by, and the room's full of skunk smell. It got rid of the odor from there. Pet odors, gets rid of tobacco smoke. It literally changes tobacco smoke into water vapor.
I'm a professional painter, and I happen to have lizards, and I lived in California, Southern California. So this is one of the folks that actually got the light. Next morning we wake up, no odor from either, the paint
or anything.
Paint, odors, stuff like that. It gets rid of allergens. On the bacterial side, it's been tested, against everything, and so 99.9% of everything has been tested against the bacteria from Salmonella, E. coli, MRSA. You go down the list, even anthrax. It neutralizes all of that. Literally, it dissolves them.
You're working right now with Virginia Island?
We're working down with the U.S. Virgin Islands on a mold remediation project with FEMA. So hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll start the remediation process. But they're desperate down there for help.
So what was the problem that they were having?
Well, they had the hurricanes, Puerto Rico and down there, the 3 hurricanes that came by. Well, they've torn out all of the, all of the sheetrock, all the carpet, stuff like that, and replaced all that. They still have the mold smell.
The mold, right.
And so their next step was to tear down the buildings and rebuild them because, people were getting sick still. They were all wearing masks in schools and the hospitals, etc.
And mold's always a problem. Even in Toronto here, in any old house.
It's always a problem.
And if you're in a humid environment or a hot tropical.
This actually, we're also working with some professional greenhouses and stuff like that because it takes, again, remember when the electrons hit the water, it changes into the superoxide molecule. So it actually helps control the moisture in the air. So in some of our testing, it not only gets rid of the mold, it gets rid of the musty smell and stuff along this line. And then there's the bacteriological. We have a test that demonstrates that you put the light bulbs in a building, it gets rid of E. coli, salmonella, and MRSA. Now, how do you kill MRSA in a hospital?
Well, I'm not quite sure what MRSA is, so I can't answer
that. Okay. MRSA is a disease. It's staph. Okay, you've heard of staph in hospitals?
Yeah, staphylococcus.
All right. MRSA is the antibacterial resistant, penicillin resistant staph. So MRSA is the stuff you can't kill in the hospitals. And that's the problem. You can't kill it. We do.
So even I know hospitals in Ontario, maybe this is the same thing, but they're dealing with, what do they call that? The...
Legionnaires?
Difficile, C. difficile.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we C. diff, yeah. It's called C. diff. Yeah, this kills it.
Yeah.
Just change the light bulbs and this will get rid of that.
Wow.
Now, we don't treat, we have to say we don't treat any disease, we don't cure any disease, but we can clean the environment around that produces that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I'm sold already. What I would like to do is replace all the light bulbs in my house.
Well, most people do. Once they test them and try them, they usually end up replacing them in their bathroom and their kitchen, and it makes it brighter, happier. When people on the SAD disease,
seasonal affective
disorder, it's SAD. Is that, a doctor, they go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you're sad. And they said, yeah, tell me about it. He said, what you need to do is light therapy, along with what Marcel has done. We've known about that light therapy.
Yeah.
Go sit in front of this light, buy this light for $100, $200, and sit there for a couple hours, and it will literally make you happy. Okay? That's part of the frequencies and lights that Marcel's been talking about. So we took the same light frequency and the light colors, and this is one of that in our light bulbs. Okay, and so you replace this in your house, and literally it's like walking into daylight, and makes you happier just walking in. So one of our things is it makes you happier, makes it safer, makes it fresher, makes
healthier.
It cleaner.
Yeah.
Our FDA won't allow us to say healthier.
Okay. Well, yeah. You get in big trouble for that. We got the same problem up here. So, are these available now? And
yes, they are. Yes, they are. Now we have to market here in Canada for the next few months. We have to market under a different brand name. We're in the process of getting things registered and stuff up here in Canada, and we're happy to say we now have Pure Light now registered as a Canadian company, but we're still in the final process of doing that.
So how do we get these?
Well, you can go to a website,
Okay.
And give me a call 416-803-5070. And we're actually doing, like you said, we're doing the light presentation. Actually tonight.
Oh, tonight.
Yep, at Cat's Deli.
Cat's Deli?
Yes.
Okay, Cat's Deli, yeah.
401 in Dufferin.
So, while I was up here, he said, hey, do you mind talking to a few people about that? I said, no. So I don't think I have 10 minutes of my own time. So I'm up here for 4 days.
We're going to the University of Toronto
University of Toronto. He's got me running all over, and he's got me meeting with people, in Manitowoc.
Yes.
And
close to Ottawa.
Oh.
We're going to meet an inventor up there. We're doing a presentation while we're up there. So he's pretty much booked until he has to fly home.
So we got your phone number, Marcel, but what's the website where people can...
pure-light.com.
Okay, and I think we might be showing that at the same time. How much are these things?
Well, these should be about $200 each. retail, they sell for about $25. And if you buy them through a little buyer's club, which costs $10 to join, or whatever, you can get them for $12, $13.
That's a big difference between 200 and
I know.
12.
We try to. Our goal is not just necessarily to sell light bulbs. Our goal is to try to help people, and so we try to price them as reasonable as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And so actually, the price on this quality we warrant them, fully warrant them for 5 years, no questions asked.
No, I mean I don't see why. Like everybody should. These light bulbs should be legislated, right? Because
we expect to have that soon.
They'll legislate anything here in Ontario.
Oh, let's not go there.
But seriously, because one, it's super efficient from
Very
a power
efficient.
consumption
Yeah.
point of view. It's got the health benefits. It's got the happiness benefits.
Oh,
all that stuff,
all those
right?
kind of stuff.
But now, my question is, like, for example, well, these lights here, we got LEDs lighting up our set here. And now they have. Do they have we got these? Like, for example,
We have the 4-foot ones, the 4-foot tube lights.
So you can to replace your fluorescents,
Yeah,
for example.
and it's a hybrid light, so you can any 4-foot tube light we can pull out and put this in on this line.
How much are those?
Those are about $20 a piece.
Amazing, and they last a long time too.
They last,
right?
like
longer than fluorescents, longer than
5 years to
incandescents.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he's actually showing demonstrations where he's bounced it off the kitchen counter.
Yeah,
They're unbreakable.
you want to
yeah.
watch this one?
Well, that's cool. You can actually hold this thing.
Basketball. Kids don't do this at home.
Excellent, great. And if you break it, you're not going to spread mercury all over your house like
That's
some other
exactly
light bulbs,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
And it's all measurable for you.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
So you understand, we started manufacturing. We've been testing it and working on the names and getting, all the kind of trademarked and some patents, applied and stuff along this line. And so it's patent pending right now. And we started manufacturing in November. We can't keep them in stock. We've run out 3 times.
Where's the plant?
We actually coat them in Rigby, Idaho. Rigby is
Nice.
famous because it was the place where television was invented by Vital T. Farnsworth. Come on, everybody knows
Everybody
that
knows that.
in the world.
I know, but the Russians claim they invented it.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, well, there's a Vital T. Is there a Vital T. Farnsworth? No, there's a museum in town.
Oh.
It's a town of about 8,000 people. And that's their big claim to
Well, that's
fame.
great. I mean, it's good too because these small towns, sometimes they got some economic difficulties. It's good to have that kind of manufacturing, that kind of innovation in a small town
The state
in
appreciates
America.
you being
Oh
there.
yeah,
Right?
the state really appreciates we're there. We're setting up some big manufacturing facilities there, and so
Well,
we're
it sounds like you
excited.
got to really ramp it up, right?
That's the biggest problem is that
Yeah.
we're right now we're
license-
raising funds to ramp up to
Can you
big
license
time.
the technology?
Yes, we can.
That was my bright idea.
Hey, genius
right.
level.
Just because really, it just seems like any other kind of light source is just not.
Well, right now I'm talking to the city of Las Vegas. They want to not only coat some of their street lights with it, because how about a street light that not only gives light, LED light, et cetera, along this line, but also detoxifies. So literally, if you put this on a car and it drives down the road, you're cleaning smog out of the air.
That's amazing. Okay, it's unbelievable. Okay, so now Marcel, you brought that groovy little device there.
Yeah, we always like things that are measurable. And, just coming from Safe Living Technologies, they actually sold me this little nice little gizmo here that actually measures the flicker in light. So there's different aspects in light in terms of the actual full color spectrum. Is there too much blue? Is it EMF? Is it dirty electricity? Is it also flicker?
Yeah,
so the flicker from the fluorescence will literally,
Make this thing go crazy.
It'll drive you nuts, right? But and what is that flicker? Is that the hertz? Or
Yes,
what is
that's
that?
exactly it is.
Okay.
It's it's the hertz.
All right.
So that's what your fluorescent sounds like. So I can go to Home Depot with this, and the quieter it is,
Yeah.
The better
the
it
better
is.
it's going to be for you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we could try your
Yeah,
LED.
see, those aren't as bad as the fluorescents.
Right.
Fluorescence is
Very
worse.
bad. Yeah.
So it's nice to have things that are measurable and audible, so you don't actually have to be a an engineer to understand.
With
this is healthy,
oscilloscopes.
this is not healthy. But this is what we're doing. We want to get to that point where we can actually say, well, here's the actual color spectrum. Here's what the oscilloscope is saying. Here's what all the EMF meters are saying. And so people don't have to take our word for it. It's a fact that this is the healthiest form of light. Now, what I really like about PLT is that if there is a better light out there tomorrow, what's the solution?
Yeah, we're working on some lights right now that will actually help produce, during the winter, help produce vitamin D. Mm-hmm. And so we want to find the healthiest lights to be with our coating, mm-hmm. with our titanium dioxide, formulation.
So they could take any light, put a 3-time coating on it of the titanium dioxide, and if it was healthy, if it is the healthiest light, now we're going to take it to even a step further beyond that.
Sounds like you could make a paint or something. And you paint everything.
Well, actually, the white around here has titanium dioxide in it. The problem is that the paint, what's used in the paint will stop it from doing its photocatalytic. It's sealed,
exposed to light.
and so it won't do anything.
Yeah.
So that was what the problem has been: is to figure out an adhesive or matrix so that it would stick it to something, and yet it would still allow it to produce its superoxygen molecules.
Wait, I've got another idea.
The light is starting to shine.
You could make a like an additive for paint or something and license it to the paint companies.
Actually, they have that. You can take any surface area and apply the titanium dioxide
to the surface after it's already been applied. So I could take this coating. In fact, we have a kitchen counter coating that we can take that and you put it on your kitchen counter, and it does several things. One, it actually makes it shinier and smoother and glossier. It makes it look shinier, and it also allows you to clean it, since it's easier to clean. You don't have to use harsh chemicals and to scrub it. There's a study out now a few months ago that said cleaning an average person in a year, a housewife or whatever, cleaning the kitchen or the bathroom, used enough chemicals that would be the same as smoking for 20 years. And so with this coating on your kitchen tile, your bathroom tub and stuff along this line, which we have those kind of products coming out, that you don't have to use those chemicals. You can clean it with just regular water. Okay, and at the same time as the light shone down on the surface, it's creating these superoxygen molecules that make it fresher, cleaner. The other neat thing about this is spectacular. We did some personal studies that said that it made plants go crazy. And
really?
So we had a study done, and sure enough, it doubles the growth of plants.
So guess what? They're working with marijuana growers.
No, we're not.
No, not.
Not yet. They wanted to work with us, but right now we're working with some major agricultural international groups. They're saying this is a problem. We got mold problems in greenhouses. We got water molecule problems in there. And you're saying that you can take care of the mold. Yes. Can you take care of the moisture? We can sure help on that. And you double the growth of plants? I said, well, 30 to 40, 50%, yeah. They said, where do we sign? So I get home for a few days, and I'm off to Texas to meet with these, some of these people.
No, that's amazing because, and I wonder because people talk about maybe there are issues around are the food grown in greenhouses, are they as healthy because they're not getting the natural sunlight, or maybe there's a soil issue. But I'm wondering if this can help improve the nutritional value.
It appears so. We need to do some more studies on that, but the initial evidence is wow. And so we're excited about that. So
wow.
Yeah.
It's making me happier just thinking about the fact that that there is technology like this that's actually going to make a
what's
difference.
interesting is that it's the technology of nature that's been around for 1,000,000+ years, or however you want to code it, whatever. And all we're doing is taking it from the outside inside. City like Toronto. I mean, here you have this huge city, and how much dirt do you have? It's mostly glass and cement and stuff along this line, right?
There's a lot of dirt.
Okay.
The actual exposure to the sunlight.
Yeah.
It's all covered.
Yeah.
It's all covered. So big cities like this, you have a bigger problem, but it's the same problem everywhere. 50 years ago, we used to spend a lot of time outdoors. I did when I was growing up.
Yeah.
That tells you how old I am, at least. And the houses, they weren't sealed. They always had the windows open because even though they had windows, doors closed, it was airy.
You couldn't seal them as well.
You
back
couldn't
then.
seal them. Now we seal them ourselves in, and we have wood flooring. We have carpets with formaldehyde. We have everything.
It's the same problem as the space shuttle in a way. Not as severe, but
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So, in fact, there's some studies that say that some houses, in fact, a majority of houses are worse inside than we have pollution on the outside.
Yeah.
And so this is a way we can address that on the inside. Fresher, cleaner, happier,
amazing,
safer.
All right, so tonight at Katz's Deli on Dufferin, near the 401.
3300 Dufferin Street.
That's south of the
7
401,
o'clock.
right?
Yeah, it's actually 2 lights south of the 401. It's just down the street from Yorkdale Shopping Center. It's also just off the Spadina-Yorkdale subway.
Okay, amazing. What time is that tonight?
7 o'clock sharp.
7?
Yeah, we register at 6:30.
And you can get some food there too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a deli. And
good. I'm planning on getting breakfast there.
I haven't had a chance to eat yet. So.
Yeah, I got in last night at 1 a.m. this morning. So
I think they got good scrambled eggs there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then where else are you going to be where people might be able to come near Ottawa somewhere?
Yeah, we're going to, where is it?
Manitowoc.
Manitowoc, yeah. We're doing an in-house presentation, and we're seeing an inventor. Tomorrow we're going to the University of Toronto. So we got quite a few presentations and things to do.
We have a lot of people interested in this technology and want to work with us, and we're excited to work with them.
It's amazing. Okay.
We have some smart people up here, some really smart and innovative people.
Well, we tried, but they're trying to dumb us down, the education system, but we shall overcome.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Roger?
Just wanted to say at the end, though, on the 31st, which is next Thursday, I'm doing a presentation I'm calling it The Light Way to Live. And so, of course, it's going to be, we're going to be talking about the pure light as well as medical light and the fact that we are literally light beings. And one of the things that we are looking from food and from water, from our environment, is light to actually recharge our batteries. So that's May the 31st, again at Katz's Deli, same time, 7 o'clock. But I want to thank you, and also, of course, Roger, for making the trip. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you guys. So pure-light.com is the website. People can go there, check it out, order some product.
Yeah.
Or they can call you, Marcel, 416-803-5070.
You got it.
Right? So we can buy them right from you?
Yeah, anything's possible.
Amazing. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
We're going to take a little break. We got lots more coming up. We got Eric Hallrecht here talking about thinking outside the pump, right? More electricity and light to get us around. Okay, we'll be right back. That's channel.com.
Tesla.